Pursuit of armed robbery suspect. The pursuit of a gray Ford Focus began around 4 p.m. on Friday, April 11, 2025, and ended shortly before 6 p.m. in the Pico-Union area. Authorities reported that at some point during the pursuit, 2 passengers exited the vehicle, but they were later arrested. The driver, a suspected armed robbery suspect, stopped the vehicle several times throughout the pursuit, pursued by at least 5 police cars. Eventually, 2 more units joined in, while an LAPD helicopter shadowed him from above. The pursuit remained mostly slow, as the suspect encountered heavy traffic, stopped at red lights, and allowed pedestrians to cross the street. Crowds of onlookers gathered on street corners, filming the suspect with their cell phones as he drove past.
Oh boy. Yep. We're ready. Well, a little bit of a change of events here, David, as this guy is apparently taking us all the way down to the 105 on Broadway, and suddenly, after taking his time getting from West LA through downtown all the way down, paralleling the 110 freeway on Broadway, he has now decided to turn around, make a U-turn, and we are now going northbound on Broadway as we continue this joyride through the streets of LA. Northbound Broadway at Century now. LAPD Olympic Division units still in pursuit. They have been for the better part of the last hour or so, and now he is making a turn away from the freeway. That's going to be a right eastbound turn off of Broadway onto Century Boulevard. The driving has been extremely slow for as long as we have been over it. We'll see if that changes, but again, this is believed to be an armed robber behind the wheel, a robbery suspect behind the wheel. There were 3 passengers at the beginning of the pursuit. 2 passengers were dropped off. They are in police custody and are cooperating apparently with LAPD. Now he has come to another sudden stop here. He's occasionally encountered traffic. He's been pretty much going with the flow of traffic, stopping for many of the traffic signals, red lights, stop signs, really obeying most of the rules here, but continuing this game of cat and mouse with those Olympic Division units. We've counted a total of 5 units behind him. LAPD's airship continuing to orbit overhead. They are continuing to order him to pull over. However, he has yet to do so. As you can see, he's continuing to travel at just under the speed limit here, coming up on Wall Street along Century Boulevard here in LAPD's Southeast Division. It really is anybody's guess, guys, as to how this is going to end. He just appeared. Oh, look at that driver's side door coming open for the first time. Suspect at a complete stop. Driver's side door opened up momentarily. He has closed it. Units getting back in their vehicles. They're going to take a look and make sure he's not dumping any weapons or dropping anything out of the vehicle, but right now it looks like it was a false start. He basically popped open that driver's side door and then closed it, and now he continues. He's back on the move with traffic here, again, eastbound on Century Boulevard. Yeah, they were ready to execute that felony stop. It does not sound like he communicated with them. You can see them now preparing once again. You'll see units kind of flank his both sides of his vehicle if they have the opportunity. But you see that LAPD unit now crossing over the double yellow lines just in case. They want to have visibility in that driver's side once he does open the door. But he is looks like he's just stopping for the red light, just basically continuing this joyride. And you just have to wonder at this point. It'll be interesting if there's any information from the passengers, if they have any idea how much gas they started with. I mean, are they dealing with a fresh tank of gas here, or is this guy going to start running on fumes soon? We just don't know. But maybe that's something that those passengers that he dropped off do know. You just don't know. It's always a possibility. One can hope anyways, right? No, in fact, he traveled in a straight line directly down Broadway, didn't even turn off of Broadway. He traveled due south, paralleling the 110 freeway, which tells me he's not using Waze or Google Maps, because if he was going to come down here, you would take the freeway. The freeway is jammed. Broadway is wide open. He took full advantage of that and is sticking to the streets. Every time he's had an opportunity to get on the freeway, he has turned it down. He has made a very clear decision during this entire ordeal to stay on surface streets, and he's continuing to stick with that strategy. He's even had a little bit of an audience at certain parts of the neighborhood where you see people coming out and trying to catch some video of this pursuit, and he slowed down. At one point, he even came to a full stop in the middle of the intersection, posing for pictures, and then kept on going. You can see he's now picking up a little bit of speed. This is about as fast as we have seen him drive now in the entire time we've been watching. Now doing close to 40 miles per hour, still within the speed limit here. But again, at least he's showing signs of life here as he presses that gas pedal and uses up a little bit more fuel. Armed robbery suspect wanted in connection with an armed robbery that we do not know when it occurred, but it was believed to have been committed with a handgun, that they were operating under the suspicion that that weapon was in the vehicle. We don't know if that weapon is still in the vehicle. They are treating it as such as far as we can tell, but that might be information that we've alluded to before. Maybe those passengers have information as to where that weapon is. Perhaps it's still in the vehicle, perhaps it's no longer in the vehicle, but those decisions, those details play a really big role into the decision-making process of law enforcement tactics, because LAPD will be much more hesitant to pit that vehicle if they know that that driver is armed. But again, ultimately it's up to the watch commander. If he establishes any kind of a pattern, which he has yet to do, then you might see this could be an optimal pursuit for a spike strip if they can get ahead of it. Right now, the turns that he has made appear to have been mostly random. In fact, I'm a little surprised that they didn't try it on Broadway, because he was basically traveling in a straight line. They may not have had units in position, but in any event, he's now made another random turn, again southbound off of Century onto Central Avenue. You can see the full pursuit package, a primary unit, a secondary unit, and all of those backup units now catching up as they continue southbound on Central Avenue, making that right turn with him. And now he's continuing to get closer to the 105 freeway, which is what we were looking at a little bit earlier, but then he made a random U-turn and decided to turn around. But now he is again going southbound, this time on Central Avenue, closer to Watts. Yes. That makes any sense. You know, we don't know if he's under the influence or what is going through his head. But as you mentioned, he's not super agitated. He's not really desperate to get away. Most likely he's content with the inevitable outcome of being taken into custody. Whether he gives up peacefully or not is another question. Whether he tries to run and hide, anybody's guess. But, you know, when we see these slow speed pursuits, 9 times out of 10, they generally end with a surrender because the suspect has a pretty good understanding of how his day is going to end. And so he's basically along for the joyride here, and we're along for the ride with him as LAPD units continue now northbound on Vermont Avenue. So making our way through South Central here, northbound on Vermont this time, coming up on Century. You'll remember just a few minutes ago we were on Century Boulevard. We'll see if he goes through it. Looks like he's going to go straight through it once that light turns green. I'm just looking for any sign, any signal of a pattern, and we have not seen that, because if we see a pattern, then you'll see them start to set up for those spike strips. We now have an additional unit in the pursuit. I count a total of, looks like 7 units right behind him. The LAPD airship still following overhead here. There are additional units in the background there, maybe getting ready on Century just in case he makes that turn. That would be something to look for if he was to make a turn, but it looks to my eye that he's going to go straight through the intersection here. No, and that would be nice to know at this point. We don't know if it happened today, if it's a crime that happened in another date, in another jurisdiction. We don't have any of those details, unfortunately. But the bright side is that there's a good likelihood law enforcement at this point probably does have all of that information, and all of that information is surely playing into their decisions here. No, all of the information we're getting is just what we're observing by the behavior behind the wheel. The behavior of that vehicle is... No, most likely they have all of that information, but they're not, you know, they've made the decision that they're going to continue to apply pressure here. That this, you know, unless the driving changes, if this becomes a wild pursuit and the chase just becomes too dangerous to keep up with, then they will keep the helicopters up, and at some point they will catch up with him, whether it's, you know, whether he comes to a stop or goes home or whatever the case may be. But in this situation, for whatever reason, they are not doing that. They are keeping all of those units engaged. They are right on his tail, and the slow speed and the safe driving that we're seeing just gives them...
After traveling south on Broadway for several miles through West Los Angeles, into downtown, and then into southeast Los Angeles, the driver eventually turned north before venturing onto other surface streets. The suspect missed every opportunity to reach the freeway. After nearly an hour, the chase shifted to South Los Angeles. From there, the slow-motion pursuit continued on surface streets, with the driver mostly obeying traffic laws. After about 2 hours, the chase finally ended in the Pico-Union area. Officers approached the vehicle with their guns drawn and knocked on the door, attempting to extract the suspect. Eventually, the driver was arrested.